The first lecture of the course English Phraseology is devoted to introduction to phraseology. We also consider the point about the history of the development of phraseology and formation of phraseology as a science. We should say that in the past 20 years there has been a growing interest in phraseology, in what was traditionally known as idioms in American and British traditions, but what is also called as phraseological units or phrasemes or phrasal lexemes. It was also called as fixed expressions. All those units are studied in a variety of disciplines of theoretical and applied linguistics, such as lexicology, lexicography, discourse analysis, first and second language acquisition, foreign language teaching, cognitive linguistics. Cognitive, it means mental, connected with our mental operations, psycholinguistics, social linguistics, semantics, rhetoric, and stylistics. This expansion reflects a near awareness that phraseology is pervasive in speech and writing, and that it plays an important role in first and second language acquisition and speech production. Phraseology has been relatively neglected, rejected by lexical studies and semantics, and it is only in the past decade that the spectrum of perspectives broadened to include different aspects of the phenomena, thus shaping the new and more widely acknowledged discipline, phraseology. Why it happened so? We have several reasons to it. The first, it is the tendency in modern linguistics to study language as mental phenomena connected with our mental operations, activities, and the tendency toward interdisciplinary studies. So, language units now studied from the point of view of different disciplines, different studies. In the logical approach to language, phraseological units were treated as exceptions to the rule, a special list of lexically fossilized phrases with specific meanings that language users consulted only if they couldn't interpret the expression literally. And another recent tendency is to study language in use and not in its ideal state, which means that spoken discourse it's a text, as well as formerly neglected registers and variants, became one of the central objects of linguistic research. So it means that phraseology can be defined as the study of structure, meaning, and use of phraseological units. We also should say that phraseology has only recently been recognized in the field of study in American tradition, but it has strong roots in the European, particularly Russian and East European linguistic traditions. The growing interest in the field in Europe, marked by several symposia on phraseology, resulted in the foundation of the European Society of Phraseology. It is called Eurofras, with its seats in Zurich, founded in 1999. You see that in Europe, only in 1999 was founded this society. Next, the main difference between the orientation of the European and American researchers is twofold. Unlike American phraseology, European phraseology focuses on a variety of languages, thus enabling a more universal and contrastive approach. But American tradition is generally more in line with the cognitive means mental, and psycholinguistic approach. Next, current phraseological research incorporates four major approaches. What are they? The first approach is classical approach, relying on the Russian tradition, seeking to establish a systematic framework of descriptive categories. The second approach is more culturally oriented approach, including the anthropological and cultural dimensions. So, phraseological units are studied from the point of view of culture. The third is cognitive approach, connected with our mental operations, mental activities, and the last one is more applied strand, corpus research, lexicography, foreign language learning and teaching. Then, the history of the development of phraseology and the formation of it is a science. Phraseology is an approach to language which developed in the 20th century. It is relatively new, and it took its start when Charles Bailly's notion of locutions phraseologiques entered Russian lexicology. Charles Bailly is a French scientist, researcher, and only in 1930s, 1940s, this notion was subsequently developed in the former Soviet Union and other Eastern European countries. And from the late 1960s, and it established itself in German linguistics, but was also sporadically approached in English linguistics. The earliest English adaptations of phraseology were made by Weinrich in 1969, also by Arnold and Lipka. And in Great Britain, as well as other Western European countries, phraseology has steadily been developed over the last 20 years. The activities of the European Society of Phraseology, Eurofras, and the European Association for Lexicography, Eurolex, with their regular conventions and publications, attest the prolific European interest in phraseology. Prominent linguist Professor Polivanov first put the question about phraseology as a linguistic discipline. He considers that phraseology will occupy a firm position like phonetics, morphologies in linguistic literature in future. And also we should mention the works of Vinogradov, who promoted the appearance and numerous works on phraseology in different languages, and such accumulation of systemized facts is one of the premises of the creation of phraseology as a linguistic discipline. As a separate branch of knowledge, phraseology was formed by Russian linguists in the 40s of the 20th century, and they are connected with such names as Vinogradov, as well as other scientists such as Stelia, Shansky, Arnold, and others. Though phraseology was widely developed in post-Soviet countries, in foreign countries, especially European countries, and as the first book where the word phraseology was used is considered as a book by Sattler called Deutsche Orthographie und Phraseology. It is in German language from the 17th century, and namely from the year of 1907. So here the word phraseology was understood as a collection of synonyms in this book. Then Leonard Lipka in 1974 can be considered as the first Englishman who dealt with this discipline. Phraseology has been developing in all the Western European countries since then, and modern European linguists have founded the European Society of Phraseology, as we have already mentioned. And the definition of phraseology was given by different European scholars, and it differs from author to author. For example, in a dictionary of English idioms by Henderson, phraseology is defined as a very young linguistic discipline that deals with collocations, phraseologisms, similes, comparisons, figurative phrases, phrasal verbs, multi-word units, and idioms. So we should finish our lecture, and thank you very much for your attention if you listened to me attentively.